Call to order the South Washington County Telecommunications Commission Thursday, December 12th, 2024 meeting at 7 o'clock. We're at the Cedar Cottage Grove Council Chambers. And can I get a roll call?
Commissioner Engelmann.
Here.
Commissioner Wilczek. Here. Commissioner Downs.
Here.
Commissioner Thiede.
Here.
Commissioner Bloom.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
Commissioner Polta.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
And we also have Michael Bradley, attorney, technical manager Lonnie Garland, and myself, Ann Schweisguth, as well as multimedia manager Bob McSherry, and presentations.
Good, thanks. We have a quorum.
We do.
So moving on to public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Looking for a motion of approval of the agenda.
Move the agenda. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to presentations. Central Park relocation and design. I believe we have WOLD, Jake from WOLD here.
Yeah, we have Jake Wollensack from WOLD, who's going to kind of walk us through the updated designs and look of the Central Park office. And then we'll have Eric Quam and Max Timmons from KRAUS Anderson talk about price. And then we'll also have a discussion of how we're going to pay for this. So take it away, Jake.
Thank you, Ann. Good evening, Commissioners. Jake with WOLD Architects. Excited to present tonight where we're at with the floor plan for the build-out, and we have some updates, I think, on the design evolution and want to get some feedback on that. So I think to start, I'll give a quick recap on the kind of design and floor plan progression as we've worked through this the last couple of months. I think maybe you saw it a month ago. And there haven't been any major changes, but to give you a quick overview, and I think this should all be in your packet. Here's a picture of the floor plan. You can see the studio kind of taking up the most real estate up on this level. And then point out where the entry room or the entry door, right above where it says break room, is located. And on the right, when you walk in, there'll be a kind of a feature wall with trophy case and some other storage and kind of a place for other artifacts that the Cable Commission has been awarded over the years. And then to the right of the door there is the break room. So there's a kitchenette, which you'll see, and then we have the radio room, and then the director's office, and about 7 offices along that southern wall there. This is a blow-up of the break room space, so you can see a little bit of the detail that's been added, and we'll show this in some renderings in a moment. I mentioned that feature wall. You can see that at the top. Have a monitor for displaying announcements or events or whatever the Cable Commission decides to post. And then on the south, typical break room kitchenette, so it has a sink, space for a microwave, and a fridge. And then a blow-up of the office spaces. We're trying to minimize office space in that we're trying to utilize, I guess, the rest of the space for the studio, and it is somewhat tight, but we've been able to fit the number of offices we need in this space, which is nice. Any questions on the floor plan? I think today I want to spend a little bit more time on the design progression. I believe you've seen the plans, and they have not changed significantly since last time. But any questions on the floor plan before I jump to the design? Sounds good. So we led a discussion with the Cable Commission on kind of what their aesthetics preference on the project were, and so we were looking at kind of traditional versus contemporary, and decided that the group is leaning more towards contemporary. Looked at kind of a neutral palette versus more color and texture, and then kind of the residential feel versus industrial. Felt that the team is leaning a little bit more towards the industrial look, which you'll see in a moment. Ann and her team were kind enough to share a couple examples of what spaces they felt would be good things to look at. So you can see there's a range of, I guess, 3 different examples here, and they, I'd say, all have the same kind of industrial theme to them, although they vary in kind of color and texture. And so we did use these as a way to kind of lead the design discussion. We also took a look at the existing or future build-out for the addition and what the material finishes in that building are going to be, just so that we weren't introducing something totally foreign. And so this is just for reference. These are a few images of the Woodbury Central Park facility. I think on the left is in the open lobby space of the main floor, and then I think it's the senior center on the right. So you'll notice a little bit of wood and kind of a subdued color palette, but something we thought was helpful to at least study for this discussion. Some of the materials we've been researching and proposing to use are listed here. Still working through the color palette. There's obviously been some changes in the logo, and we're working on introducing the color palette, so you'll see some paint colors there that'll most likely change or we'll add to that. We were looking for a little bit of a warmer material, so you'll see the doors are a wood material to provide a little bit of warmth. Casework will likely be something a little more neutral, and then we'll plan to introduce acoustics in certain areas to help with sound mitigation, but also provide a little bit of texture and color. Flooring is another discussion. I think there's a mix of different flooring throughout the space, but we are looking at a luxury vinyl tile that'll have a wood look as well in some of the main spaces, and carpet and others. So there's a series of about 3 renderings here. This is a view when you walk into the space, what you would first see. And so you'll note on the kind of central part of the picture here, you'll see the radio room. And those glass doors are sliding, so you can open those up and take advantage of when it's not being used for a radio room, and extend that space out into the lobby. And on the left there, you'll see a bench for the break room. But really trying to keep this space pretty minimal. You'll see some exposed structure up there, so we're working with KA on determining what the finish of the fireproofing will be and making sure that that'll look nice. But we are looking at dropping some ceilings down for sound and lighting, and just to block certain pieces. I think there's a couple pieces of mechanical equipment that'll be up in above the ceiling, which I think are important things to try to conceal. This is a view of that wall on the right side when you walk in. We are looking, you'll see kind of that wood slat look, and there's been a little bit of discussion about maybe that's not the best material for what the Cable Commission is doing, filming the space, and so we'll certainly be looking at alternatives to that, but we do want to have something that is a little bit more vibrant. And it's really this area and then the break room behind this image that would have that type of a material finish applied to it. Other things to note, you can kind of see the office doors behind that the history wall or the trophy case wall. We are trying to maximize daylight. There's no direct windows into this space. So we are using some glass doors, and I think the office doors currently, we're looking at a frosted film on the middle section to provide a little bit of privacy, but that is still in discussion. But the idea is really to take advantage of the windows and let some of that daylight through, so it's not just a dark space without daylight. The last image here is the kitchenette break room, so you'll see some of that wood slat material that's used elsewhere in the building. Again, looking at potentially exploring different options for that. Otherwise, the tile backsplash, we're looking at options there to help provide a little bit of splash there. I think it's shown white right now. We looked at a few different options, which it likely will change. And then the color, I mentioned that. I think we're working through that branding piece right now, but that should be pretty simple and be able to provide a different color in different areas to provide some of that that vibrancy that we're looking for. So I think with that, I'll maybe pause. If there's questions, I can bounce around, but kind of where we're at with the design. KA is here to present the budget, worked closely with them to make sure we're not out of step with what they're planning, and I think there's a few decisions that we'll have to make soon as we wrap this up, but overall, I think we're in great shape. Questions? Yes, Commissioner?
So, as I sit here and listen to you discuss this, and I hear luxury this and upgrade that, and so $1 million is quite a bit to, doing this. What would you change if you had to take 300 grand out of it?
300 grand would be tough. I mentioned the luxury vinyl tile. It's maybe not the best term because it is a much more economical option compared to tile
Okay.
per se. So I think if we were looking at doing tile in this, it would be 3 times the price of the, I'll call it LVT material. It's durable, looks nice, maintainable. I think the other option we've explored is like a polished concrete, which is probably comparable in price to this. But if I was to have to chop off 300,000, I'm not sure how I would do it. I think you'd really have to strip it down. I don't think there's a lot of extras in this. Like I mentioned, if I go back to the floor plan over here, I think we're really only talking about 2 or 3 spaces where we have a little extra material just to provide a little bit of that warmth. But before the meeting, we were talking about wood, and maybe it's not the right choice of materials for what they're doing in this area. So we'll be exploring that, and there's probably a different solution we can come up with. Trying to think, 300 grand,
Well, I just pulled that number out of the air, right? But, I was just curious, but, if we did have to, from a budget standpoint, take things out,
Yep.
what would be the things to go? So,
Eric can chime in on that one in a moment here, but yeah, I think it is pretty bare bones. I mean, it's not, we're not doing anything out of the ordinary, so.
Okay.
Trying to make the space look as best we can with the least amount of funds as possible, really.
Okay. Thanks.
Has it been talked about at all where signage would go out on the outside? Like, so back to your drawing, like
Yep.
in the hallway there, before you enter the space, where would signage be?
Right where you see the word break in break room, it would be on the outside wall.
Outside-
So when
where the
people come
door-
down the hallway, they're going to see it.
Straight ahead? And
Straight
the-
ahead.
The door wouldn't open covering that, or
I think it's a glass door.
it's a,
It'll be, by that point, I would assume whoever's coming to visit will have known where they're going, but
okay,
I don't think there's a lot of traffic expected here. It's,
No, I think it'll also be on the door,
sure.
on the glass of the door.
right.
And you're right, when they open it, it will, but
Cover the si-
the door won't be propped open. It'll just be open for a couple seconds.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Lonnie and I had a conversation with Clint, the city administrator. He asked the question, you showed the showcase, the display case for the awards. Was there any discussion about having that on the outside so that, that people, before you came into the space, you could see those awards, you would see them?
Sure.
So was that discussed at all or thought of?
It hasn't been discussed. Lonnie told me this a couple hours ago, and it's something we should probably look at and see if that's a good idea.
Right.
I think there are some stipulations in the lease about
That-
not doing that, but, anything can be discussed.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Clint brought it up, and we told Clint we would bring it forward, like, okay, it's an idea to suggest, because it gets you don't have to come into the space to see all the awards that we've won, that you'd see it just by walking by if people were exiting the building on that back side there or whatever, so,
I think it's a good idea to add it into our
Discussion.
discussions for the next phase.
yeah. So, I said I would bring it forward, so, yep.
Good idea.
Thank you.
You've got wall space there for it looks like.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Apologies for my tardiness. You might have talked about this before I got here. You might have actually just alluded it towards the end, but I was curious to what extent our new rebranding, image, color, look and feel played into the design.
Sure. I think we just got the final draft, or maybe it's been approved now, but
It'll be approved tonight. So they don't have the final colors yet.
we got a
But-
preview of it.
Yeah.
So I think our goal would be to really pull some of that in, and it's maybe not showing up yet, but at the next check-in, I think it would be evident that we've incorporated that.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Thank you for your time. I'll let Eric jump in and talk through a little bit of the budget and schedule. You ready?
Yeah,
Need something else here?
I believe, yep,
There we go.
there you go. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for letting us present to you tonight the budget. Just to kind of give you an update from where we were at concept. We're in the schematic design phase. Some of those drawings that Jake just showed you, we're starting to refine our numbers here. So just some quick updates for where we see at the SD level. We actually show a little savings. From concept to SD, we start to get that scope defined. We can look at those systems. We get some narratives from the design teams that can help us look at the electrical and mechanical side of stuff. So looking at just over 675 at 678, $678,000 for the construction cost. That would be the contractors, the paint, the drywall, the doors, and the glass, and some of those mechanical build-outs that are not currently in the project under the Central Park project. We have taken the design contingency and escalation, so with the work from WOLD, we felt that we were at a time where we could reduce that so that you're not gonna get those big swings at this point. Moving forward, started to refine that scope, so we feel comfortable. That's a contingency, so if the project doesn't use that, it obviously goes away as we get the bids from the contractors coming in. So hopefully that, with good competitive numbers, that is something that, you know, will continue to shrink as we get closer to bidding here in the first part of next year. The remaining the contingency you see below that, carrying a 5%, it's a tenant build out. We're doing our due diligence now. You really shouldn't see unforeseens. That's our goal. But we still like to put something in there so that if something does arise as we get into construction, that there's still some money there. Now, that's the same thing. If the Cable Commission does not use it, the Cable Commission gets it back. There's 100% savings go back to the client. Next, you see general conditions. I think Dustin may have alluded to what some of that stuff includes. If you want to talk about it, we can. It's like dumpsters and stuff like that. That's just something that also is a 1-for-1. If you don't use any of it, you get it back. So construction costs you see there, I'm having a hard time reading that right now. I apologize. Right now I see that I might have a small typo there on that one, but all in all, at the bottom there with the soft costs at 279, you're looking at just under $1.05 million all in. With some contingencies in play there, we have some FF&E and then also an estimate for KA and then WOLD's cost to get through construction there. So we're lower than we were at concept, and we continue to hope to refine those numbers as we get into design development and then construction documents. Before we jump into schedule, are there any questions on the budget?
When you, when you say design fees and reimbursable, is that what you're, some contingency type stuff? And when you say reimbursable?
Yep.
Or is that just expenses that you think that you might have that are reimbursable to?
I might add, those are our fees, I think.
Okay.
That line item.
So that design fees and reimbursable, that is, what's the reimbursable, the expenses?
Driving to visit the site.
Expenses.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Not reimbursable to us.
Yeah.
You can go pick them up, Dave.
There you go. man.
So if you had come here remotely, we might have saved $40.
What is FF&E expenses? What does that stand for?
Furniture, fixtures, and equipment, so
Okay.
that's gonna be the TVs on the wall, some of those tables. Things I know it's the goal of the staff to use most of what you already have, but there might be some pieces that come up to fit that space from the renderings that Jake shared.
Okay,
It's a lot of money, but it's a big project.
it is.
Big project.
You're gonna go into scheduling next?
Yeah, so schedule, just to kind of give you an update, so at the next meeting, in the end of January there, we hope to, we will have updated drawings from WOLD to help refine those numbers even further, through a lot of the coordination things that we're going through on that, and then with the final material selections, mechanical and electrical drawings that are really gonna drive in to help us refine those numbers and look at, where we see ourselves going into the bidding phase, which would be right after that. So in that January meeting, we'll look for further direction to release the project, to finish the drawings and release the project out for bid. So that in your March meeting, hopefully, that we have good news for everybody and we can have the county or the cable commission enter into the contracts with the contractors so that we can release them to start procuring materials and products to start the project in the mid-summer timeline, early summer. We're hoping to aim the project around completing the project at the same time as the Central Park project is the goal. For us to do the build out as we're doing the construction of the Central Park project.
Any other questions?
I got a question, just backing up a little bit. You mentioned open ceiling type design and putting some stuff in to cover this or that. I'm concerned about, you gonna have your air handlers and stuff up in this ceiling? I'm thinking, do they have to sit there and listen to some air handler run, or is it gonna be enclosed, or how do you take care of that?
Trying to work through it, there's,
Jake, could you go to the?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much.
there are, I want to say 3 or 4 water source heat pumps that are in the Central Park project that'll be up in the ceiling, and I think at least 2 of them are in the studio, which was an issue, and we are looking at trying to put those out in the corridor so that they're not a sound issue, which we are pretty mindful of with the recording going on in there.
How about the air handlers?
Yeah, they're not air handlers, so those will be located elsewhere in the building. But the water source heat pumps and VAVs, they are bulky and they put off noise, which is not good. So I think we're really looking at trying to hide those with some of the clouds. I think if you walk out here in the hallway, you can kind of notice, you can see the steel structure above and on the edges, but we would use a cloud, I'll call it. It's just a acoustical ceiling to help kind of hide that.
So you gotta have an air handler somewhere, though.
Yeah,
Is that gonna be sitting
central
above
air.
the ceiling? I understand your heat pump and that stuff, but how about, you got an air handler somewhere in there?
The building is operated off a central, it's called a DOAS unit and recovery unit that are actually roof mounted to the north of this area. I'd show you on the floor plan, but yeah, it's a central, so the Central Park building will provide the fresh air and and a bulk of the heat with heat pumps in the space. So that's the only equipment you'll have in the space. But the building itself will actually be the one providing a bulk and a good chunk of the mechanical needs of the building, of the space, I should say.
That still don't really answer my question. Because you're talking, one end, you're talking about the heating and ventilating for the whole building,
Yep.
like a centralized thing. Then you're talking heat pumps and that for this portion of the thing.
Yep.
But you still gotta have an air handler somewhere for this section. I'm just concerned there's gonna be an air handler above the ceiling that these people gotta listen to running forever. I mean, you gotta have an air handler somewhere to,
It's outside of the building and it serves more areas than just this area. It serves.
well, if it's
both points
outside
of
the building and serves more areas, then why do you need a heat pump thing in their area?
Because the building is operated off a geothermal sustainable energy system that will, like a VAV, will provide additional comfort and heat in the space, not just at the unit itself. The unit does a percentage of the needs of the space.
Okay, so the air handler is somewhere else and air is going through and you're just using the heat pump to temper it in,
To modulate it.
or modulate it in each thing, okay.
Yep.
I was just concerned when you mentioned open ceiling and air handlers above and trying to block stuff,
Right.
because I know engineers are kind of,
Yep.
well, we put this air handler above there and we don't really care who listens to it for the next
My
100 years.
mechanical engineer sits 5 feet from me, so we're on top of him.
Okay,
I'd like to point out too, the Central Park mechanical engineer has been very helpful to help us find, to review those options to move those units within the Central Park project to, so that if this project continues down the path to procurement, then he's working with us to find and remedy those so that it's not going to impact the cable commission.
In light of that, do we have sound specs that we're adhering to?
Yes.
Okay, so before the final approval and everything, that's something that'll be tested to verify?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Any questions? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Chair, can I go into how we're going to pay for this?
Yes, you can.
Okay. That's the big question, right? So we've seen the estimated number, a little over $1 million. Go next slide. So estimating the year-end funds. I would estimate that we'll have in our relocation fund about $654,000 at the end of the year. And we'll be able to shore up our reserves, which the estimated reserves will need to be a little over $1 million. So we'll have our $1 million reserve and $654,841 about for the relocation fund. So that would leave a little under $400,000 to pay for the project. It does seem logical to borrow from the reserves. It's kind of what they're there for. We have $1 million in the reserves. If we borrow $400,000, we still have $600,000 in the reserves. Of course, we have to think about how are we going to pay those reserves back and make them whole. If we look at the surplus history, in 2024, we'll put $416,000, 2023, $237,000. So you can see that it's likely we'd be able to shore up the reserves in 1 to 2 years after we do the project. So that's the initial idea that I just wanted to run by you, and we're not voting on anything tonight. It's just informational. Oh, it is important to point out that this project is not going to affect any of the capital improvement projects for the cities. It doesn't affect any of the services we provide. This is paid by the relocation fund and borrowing from our reserves. Any questions?
Do we pay this all at once up front or installments at the end?
It'll be installments. There'll be, billing throughout the project. So I would anticipate we wouldn't pay the whole thing off until it's done and built and we're all moved in.
Okay.
And as I recall, isn't there a percentage of our operating funds that we're supposed to have in reserve?
Yeah, the rule for the reserves is you need 6 months of operating funds and then the average of 3 years of capital improvement projects.
Okay.
And that's how you determine what should be in the reserves.
Okay. So if we have 600,000 in reserves, we'll still be within that parameter?
We would be under
Okay.
in probably 2025 and perhaps in 2026.
Okay.
So when we do go to approve the funds or vote on the funds and stuff, we would also have to okay that the reserves can go under, so forth, along with that language, right?
Would be a good Mr. Bradley question.
Yes.
Sure, he says.
Any other questions? Thanks, Ann. Moving on to reports, staff. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yes, so the staff toured the community media facility CCX, which is located in Brooklyn Park. They have a really large facility and they have like 3 studios. So we thought it'd be a great space for us to look at and get some ideas for our new space. So they were nice enough to open up their doors and give us a tour. That was really educational. We also joined in Minnesota Alliance for Community Media gathering happened at SPNN in St. Paul. It was really well attended by community media professionals in the area and also some from other states. We talked about upcoming legislation, accessibility options, and it was really a beneficial networking time. So I thought it was a great event. I've been working on employee performance reviews and wrapping up for the end of the year. I can't believe it's the end of the year already, but it's here. And Bob McSherry is going to be moving into a new role starting January 1, as he will become our new multimedia manager, formerly known as content manager. His new role is going to be managing the production team and all of our video content and being the main content between our production team and the communications teams at the cities. So I'm excited to see him take over that role and run with it.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Lonnie also has a slight title change. He is now officially the Technical Manager, Assistant Executive Director. So we're excited for him to have that title as well and all the responsibilities that go with it.
I thought he looked different.
He does, right? Stands a little taller. And Lonnie has some information on capital improvement projects.
Yeah, well, since we had a busy year, I thought it'd be fun to show some of the stuff we did for the cities this year. Some of the pictures are great, some of them are not so great. Some of it's not real exciting, and other things are great. This is a new rack we put in at Woodbury Sports Center. I know I call it the Sports Center just because it's easier, so. But I didn't have a picture of the old system. The old system was actually 2 racks that were very outdated. So we consolidated, they were floor racks, actually. They were from the floor to just about the ceiling. And this is actually mounted on the wall. And so we've consolidated that equipment down to minimal and still functional. There's a touch panel that the staff can use to select different zones in the building and play different sources. They have 3 cable boxes, so they can play 3 different cable channels on different monitors, plus this field house. Both rinks have music and microphones. So it was a big project, but it turned out really nice. The staff seems to like it. There's also a conference room upstairs that has technology in that. We replaced the projector and updated the barcode in that room as well. So they got a little makeover. Eagle Valley Golf Course, they remodeled their whole bar area. So those are monitors we helped put in there. We really didn't do much in their conferencing area. They kind of left that the way it was. We did have to replace the rack because of the way the wall was. We had to move to 2 rack system instead of 1. So there's actually 2 racks that hang up on the ceiling or on the wall in the kitchen area. And basically it was a rewire and some upgrades there too. So this is Public Works. They have 3 conference rooms, Colby, Carver, and Powers. And basically, we went from a touch panel, a pan and tilt camera, some other technology, to basically this barcode bar, which does everything that technology did, but in one little apparatus and costs, what, $3,300? And it does the click share and the camera and the microphone and the speaker. It's great for small conference rooms. It's affordable, easy to use. You basically walk in, you plug the puck into your computer, the TV turns on, and you present your PowerPoint. And you can do a Teams conference or Zoom conference. Really easy to use, economical, and less technology that has to be dealt with. This is the public safety roll call room, their police department roll call room. They actually had an old projector, really old projector, and a screen. And so we put this 86-inch monitor in with what you're seeing above the monitor is actually called an Nueva soundbar. It's basically a speaker and a microphone all in one. And then if you notice on the picture on the right, that's a little camera that they use to do video conferencing and training. This room is used for the police, but it's also used as a training area for them as well. So they might do a webinar or receive training via video conferencing, so. We replaced all the microphone neck, the little gooseneck that sticks out of this microphone, we replaced all of them. There was 15 of them at their training room at Public Safety, and we replaced all the batteries in them. When they redo this room, which will happen in a couple of years, this technology will probably be changed as well. They'll probably do some in-ceiling microphones and speakers, so we won't have this technology on the tables anymore. It'll just be in-room. This is Cottage Grove's roll call room. Their police department got their roll call room updated as well. They also had an old projector and a screen, and so we went with 2 86-inch monitors in their room. And if you look on top, that little box is a camera that they use for video conferencing. It also has a touch panel that lets them select cable box or their computers, and a wall plate. It's kind of a fail-safe if they had an emergency and they had to plug in right away. They could just plug an HDMI cable in and it would show to the monitors. So it's kind of a fail-safe in case the other technology doesn't work and they need to use the room. This is, we updated some conference rooms at City of Cottage Grove as well. We did a room here at City Hall and we did a room at Public Works. And basically this is the barcode click share bar. Again, removing some older technology and less technology was added by just adding this little box. So it's a handy dandy little unit, easy to use. This is Glacial Valley Park. This is a new park that Cottage Grove put up. And this is the technology. This room is rentable, so people can rent the space. Again, if you look at the wall plate or the touch panel, you basically walk in and you can turn the system on and connect to a wall plate on the wall. It actually had Bluetooth, your music. You can walk in and play your music off your phone, an iPad, a computer. If you use the wall plate, you can plug in your HDMI cable in, and it'll display on the screen and play the audio through the speakers. They also have, they do educational kids summer programs at this location. So they had the cart, they asked for the cart. So basically, the cart is just a TV on a cart with an HDMI cable, and they bring their laptop in, and they can do educational things, showing them on the TV, that kind of thing. So, and it's portable, so they can move from room to room. And then this is some new technology that we've tried out. Last night was actually the first night. If you look at the monitor, this monitor here, this is a new technology that Tightrope is trying out. We're actually a beta tester for them. It's us and one other city in California has this device right now. And what it does is in-room captioning. So it's putting the captions on that screen live as they're talking. It actually has the captions presenting on the TV. Now, it's testing, so it's still learning. But I was impressed. It was very fast. It was really accurate. And some of the things that they plan on doing with this technology is you should be able to walk into the room, scan a QR code, and it will open up a URL or an app on your phone, and then you'll be able to view the captions on your phone. And then further down the line, they're going to take those captions and then have them translated into voice, and you should be able to select the language that you'd like, English, Spanish. And so if you walked into the room, you could scan the QR code, you could get the captions on your phone and listen through your earbuds or your headphones. So they're guessing 2 to 3 years out yet, but right now, this is the same technology we use on our cablecast channels, when we watch our channels. So they kind of had that figured out. Now it's just trying to get it to work in the rooms. But yeah, it's so far so good. There's some branding that they're working on. This has the Woodbury logo on it. If we did it here, it'd be the same type of thing. It'd be on one of the existing monitors. It doesn't cost us anything, and we get to test it as long as we want. We actually get to keep it when they're done with it. So it's kind of fun. So it's kind of nice to be asked to do things like this. So, and then one other fun thing we did the holiday train last night. We actually did a live broadcast from the holiday train with our new little HeyVision device we bought, which is a bonded cellular transmitter. So we can transmit we can go live just about anywhere. And there was quite a few people there last night and it worked great. It was awesome.
So just a question, because I know my wife actually recorded it and so forth.
Yep.
But there was a moment, there was a period where the sound was gone.
Oh, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
I was just curious whether somebody actually typically monitors that, or you actually, because obviously out there, you may not know unless you had some sort of headset on or something.
Well,
Or-
oh, I don't have any other slides. Well, if you look at the picture on the left, that's our van, and that's our laptop that we're running everything through.
Okay,
And basically, I was monitoring it through the laptop, and I noticed it went out. Well, you're only as good as your weakest link, which was batteries and a wireless microphone. And it was so cold.
Four below the
Yeah, so, you know, they just happened to die when they
it
did.
was a little chilly out there.
Yeah, it was a little crisp. As you can see, Nikki's bundled up pretty tight there, so.
Yeah, I know, I think I almost walked right in front of the camera and.
You did, but that's okay. It was still good. It's.
If I realized that I was on live TV, I might have started singing. Or something.
I was really pleased with the device. It was a good test for it in the cold and with all the people there. So it's a great community event. It was great to be able to do it live for people that didn't want to brave the cold. So I see us using this quite a bit more. So that's all I have. It was a good year. We did a lot of things. And if you have any questions, I'm right here, so.
I actually just have one question.
Sure.
What do you do with all of the old technology? Does it have any sort of value, or do you just recycle it or throw it in the
Well,
trash?
our
donate
commissioners
it?
that work at the smaller cities are probably gonna not like this, but if I could repurpose it, I will repurpose it. Like, if it's a monitor that's still working, I will put it, we've done stuff at the police station where we've given them a monitor they might need for something else. Some of the PTZ cameras we've repurposed. Brian, the RIT person, is helping me. We're actually trying to take some of the old cameras that were at the conference rooms we took out. We're trying to make them work at Gray Cloud and try to do Gray Cloud like we do these meetings, where it's cameras and it's remote. And we actually use the portable live unit to broadcast that meeting live, which is not been done in the past. So it's also saving us time because we don't have to edit and then upload it. This way it's live on the channel and to YouTube. So those are things we're working on. So we try to repurpose where we can. Some of it we trade. There's a gentleman named Rob who owns a company that buys a lot of the old stuff from us and then if a monitor dies, he gives me a credit basically, and I take that and I get a new monitor. So it's just kind of a running credit that he uses with the old. Some of it's sold. You just have to recycle it. You just have to, that's the final end of it, so.
So he gives you a credit for future purchase. You don't get, the Cable Commission doesn't get revenue from.
No, it's not really a revenue generating. Otherwise, it'd cost us to dispose of it.
Right.
We'd have to pay to recycle it. So this is a way that we can generate, like I said, a little revenue as far as like a credit towards new equipment, new monitors and those kinds of things, so.
Do we track that somewhere in our?
Yeah, I have an inventory that we try to tag and inventory all the new equipment and all the old equipment. We try to remove it, and when we have the audit, they look at that. And so, yeah, we try to put asset tags on all of our equipment so we know that it's ours and the city knows it's ours. So then we can track it in inventory, so.
I think what you were thinking about maybe as an actual accounting entry or something like that.
Well,
Is
you
it-
know.
Is it recorded like you don't see it anywhere as a credit if you went?
Yeah, the value of the things that after 7 to 10 years, there's no value really. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to put a value on it, so, yeah.
So basically, you just see when you get that credit in the future, it's just showing that you're paying maybe a lower price for whatever.
Right,
asset
yeah.
you're buying.
Instead of paying, $1,500 for a monitor, I'm only paying $500, so I get a discount on it that way too, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think just recording wise financial purchases like that, whether it's when you make the purchase, instead of saying it cost you 500, it's like 1,500 minus the credit, or like somewhere it's showing that. And, if anyone
Sure.
ever wanted to see how much money you're saving by
Yep.
doing that,
Sure can do that,
someone might care.
okay. that's a great idea. Like I said, we asset tag it and we inventory it, and then it just,
Be like, I saved $2,800, so do I get a fancy
if you know me
chair
very
in the
well,
new
you know how
office?
tight I am with money, so I try to save money. Ann can attest to this, I save money wherever I can, so I'm with you on that one.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, I try not to, you know, when we get bids for things, I make them sharpen their pencils a little bit, and, you know, so,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Questions? Thanks. Moving on to legal. Mr. Bradley.
Good evening, Commissioners. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all of you. My legal reports are in your packet. I know Ann just sent out our December legal report to you. It's been a busy time. I've had the privilege to speak to a number of groups over the last few months. So I was in Tacoma for the Washington Municipal Attorneys Conference. I was in Oklahoma City for the Oklahoma Municipal Attorneys Conference. And then just recently, I was speaking remotely in Mystic, Connecticut to the Alliance for Community Media Northeast Annual Conference to talk about access television challenges and opportunities in franchising. And of course, we've had the election, I think, since we last met, or I've last been before you. So we're, kind of learning about what, the new makeup of the FCC might look like and what kind of challenges and opportunities we might have as a commission and as local governments with the new FCC over the next 4 years. With that, I think I'll conclude my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. We'll talk about the lease coming up here, so. Any questions?
Thanks. Well, we will move on to unfinished business. Central Park lease. Ann, are you starting?
I will. Yes, after, what has it been, 2 or 3 years we've been really hard discussing this? I think back in January, we signed the letter of intent to move our office to Central Park in Woodbury. We've been going through lease negotiations for a while and brought a fully negotiated lease to the Relocation Committee on December 4th. The Relocation Committee is made up of Chair Bloom and Commissioners Ingeman and Downs. They are recommending the lease for approval tonight, and Mr. Bradley has more to say about that.
Well, good evening again. I'm very pleased to recommend this lease for adoption tonight. I just want to thank Ann for her leadership and Lonnie for his leadership in guiding us through the negotiation process. Also want to thank the chair for his input and guidance along the way, as well as the Relocation Committee. We do appreciate all of the time and efforts that you put in making this lease happen. And I also wanted to recognize Eric Searles, Michelle Okada at the City of Woodbury. They were terrific to work with, as was their attorney, Eric Larson, who I've known Eric for a long time in kind of other endeavors in our lives, in our professional lives, through the Ramsey County Bar Association. So, once the lease got to us, we were able to review that, make some edits, review those with the City of Woodbury. We had some back and forth. We had good discussions on these things. But at the end of the day, I think the lease came out to be very good for the commission. It complies with the letter of intent that the commission and the city approved, as well as the memorandum of understanding that was approved even before that. And we're recommending it for your approval tonight.
Great. Any questions?
I have a question. The thing that we talked about moving maybe the trophy case out into the hallway, is that something that would need to be added to the lease or modified in the lease? Or do we go ahead and sign the lease as is and deal with that later?
Yeah, no, great question, Chair. And no, we don't have to change anything. Our plans will be reviewed ultimately by the City of Woodbury.
Okay.
That's in the lease, and we'll continue to do that. So if our plans change a little bit, that doesn't alter the lease at all. We'll be fine.
How long is the lease?
Another great question. The lease is for 10 years, and there's 2 renewal options, 5-year renewal options on agreement of the parties.
You gotta renegotiate the price then, from the extra years in?
That's true, yes. That's absolutely true.
Other questions? I think we're looking for a motion to approve the Central Park lease with City of Woodbury.
I'll make a motion to accept the lease.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And it passes. Thank you. Move on to Bob. TrueLens Community Media, logo design.
All right. First, I want to thank the commissioners for all your support on this, what was a very long journey to get to this point, and a lot of patience on everybody's behalf to get down to our name, TrueLens Community Media, which we're excited that it is trademarked and that is our name. So now the next stop is to come up with a look, what's it going to look like, and all that kind of good stuff. So we talked to our Mango Day, and basically what we come down to is we went through 3 rounds of yes and no, we don't like this, that, no, like that, and we settled down to what basically is our 2 finalists. So basically what we're looking for is an icon that looks good in print, looks good on video, we can scale, we can make it bigger, very versatile in our presentation on everywhere that we're going to be using TrueLens, how it looks on the van, that type of thing. So we have 2 finalists. Our first one is what we've been calling the playhead. So it's just basically a play button, kind of looks like a camera, kind of looks like a YouTube playhead type thing. So, and then our next option that we also looked at is a pair of hands. The pair of hands kind of make a frame like when we go out on shoots and we frame stuff up. So that's kind of where we're looking through the 2 things. To me, this one represents the media part of what we do, and this one represents the community part of what we do. So our staff, we vetted it among our staff, and we talked to many, many people. We even went to the cities, the Cottage Grove, had a nice talk with them. Courtney who's their graphic designer, gave me a lot of good tips and what she liked about it, and we kind of talked about, which do you like? What do you want? And we did the same thing with Woodbury, Jason, and his whole entire communications team, and figured out, what was kind of rating, what would you choose? And then we came up, after all that, and we got some good feedback, and the overwhelming winner was the playhead. So most people I think they just like the simplicity of it, and that it grabs you immediately, and it just says, this is what we are. So, and so then after that we got the playhead, so now we got to figure out, what color do we go, and all that kind of stuff. So we're looking at contrasting colors. One thing we will do is that it will always be, as you can look at this slide here, kind of looks, how does it look on other things? How is it going to look on a t-shirt? How is it going to look on our video or business cards? How's it going to look on social media? So they, Mango Day worked this up for us, which was good. And then, so we will always have, we'll always have an all black logo and an all white logo, just so have that options. So sometimes you're going to be wanting to put something, if it's a if it's a white background, we want to put the black one on there, stuff like that. So, but we went, again, back to the drawing board and asking people which colors we like. And this was the one that we kind of landed on. Kind of a blue, I feel that it makes the words stand out a little bit more. And rather than looking at the icons so much,
also the blue, 3 of our 4 cities use blue primarily, or use blue in their branding. So Newport does it, Woodbury does it, Cottage Grove all do it. So I don't know what St. Paul Park does. So,
Blue-green.
is it blue-green? Okay. So that was one of the things that, when we came out with this logo, I think it's subtle. I like the fact that the little hidden gem is that the arrow points to the word community. You know, if you look at that and how it sits in there. And then our tagline is going to be, we went through with focused on your community or focused on our community. We chose our because it's more inclusive and we are part of our community. We are with you on that one. So this is the one that we landed on, and we hope you agree and we can move forward a little bit on this. So questions, Dave?
Good.
So when I was looking at it, I was definitely leaning toward having the font such that you're focused on the TrueLens. You know, that's kind of, because I thought that's, you know, when you kind of came up with that, that was the key, you know, one of the key things that you wanted to key on. That's why, you know, and I hear what you're saying about the, you know, the start button and focusing on the community. But so what other discussions was there around, you know, the TrueLens community, with the TrueLens in the larger font and the community media? You know, I think it washes out the way it is right there. To me, it washes out the TrueLens to a certain degree, and the community, community sticks out,
Yeah.
but then people are gonna start saying, oh, it's community media.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think with the logo, with its stacked the way it is, in that way, it's like the 3 lines work. Rather than if it was just the hands, it was 2 lines, and it worked better on the true lines. When you add the 3 lines, it gets too long. The community is such a long word, and you put media on there, doesn't look balanced. So I think that's why we did it. But we definitely can, you know, make the, community smaller. I mean, we definitely can make those words smaller and make it stand out. I thought if you did put community media on one line, you could move our tagline up to the 3rd, and that would help balance it out too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot bigger necessarily,
Yeah.
the TrueLens font, but I think if it is, it tends to kind of accentuate that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's why we ended up with the 3 lines, is just how it fits with that particular logo. But I agree, I did like when it was 2 lines and you had TrueLens, and then underneath it was community media that matched fine.
Right.
Any other questions?
I like it.
I'm absorbing it. I'm gonna like think like it'll like come to me, and I'll soon be like, yeah, it's all good. So no comment on that, on the logo itself. The tagline feels very boring to me. And again, these are things I can live with, and we can live with the logo and the lines and the like font sizes for a year and see how it feels. I think Dave has a good point about maybe we make TrueLens bigger at some point, but I'm fine with this now. I don't really know that the tagline really adds a whole lot.
Okay.
And it's fine, you know, maybe eventually we don't even need it because but it's just like TrueLens Community Media, focused on our community. It feels redundant.
Okay.
But it's nothing I'm suggesting we change. It's just something to think about.
So
Just as
I
a
think
note-
down the road, the goal would be that everybody just knows us as TrueLens.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the ultimate goal.
Right, which to Dave's point, then having it be bigger might have helped with that. But I think it's fine this way too.
And just as a note from cost and so forth, that you probably want to go with what you want for the final logo now, as opposed to working up all sorts of whether it's letterhead or a variety of other signs and things like that, and then changing it after a year. So
Yeah,
I think we need to go
No, that's totally fair. And there's nothing about this that I think needs to be changed right this minute.
But I kind of agree with you, because I think we put initially it was TrueLens Media, and then we decided to put the community in there to emphasize that. And I think you're right, in terms of maybe saying then focused on our community is actually somewhat redundant.
Yeah. But I do think, well, to your point, you don't want to have to like redo stuff. I also think that like brands do evolve over time, so maybe this is the way we start, and then we find that focused on our community, the tagline's not really adding a whole lot, and so we don't really like include it very often. I mean, it's not going to be included on everything.
Can you go back to that picture where you had the example of the, on the different products, like on
Oh, yeah.
T-shirts and all of that? So like on these examples,
It's
we don't
not
even
there.
put the tagline on there, right? So
Nope.
I think the tagline would be more on your email.
email or something like that, that's very easily to adjust, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put the tagline on any sort of permanent material personally.
I was thinking you'd do it in like a promo for your TrueLens. You know, if you're doing a video promo for us,
Yeah.
you know, you'd put
Right.
something like that on there.
Yeah, okay.
Bob, can you go to your very first slide at the beginning of it? It struck me, I would never, you wouldn't want to write it with the same font, all uppercase like you have in that.
Which one?
That's your last spot, the very,
one.
very first slide, your very first slide.
Oh, where I had,
The very first slide, the
Gotcha.
first slide of the deck that you're showing.
gotcha.
That, TrueLens Community,
That was because the font was,
yeah, you would never write it that way.
No, I would
right?
not.
Because
So-
that doesn't strike me as
That was
TrueLens.
the,
I wouldn't, yeah, it
that was
looks
the
like a
default
word.
font and I couldn't change it.
TrueLens.
It's TrueLens.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never write it that way.
You wouldn't, yes.
The way I like it is the capital T and the capital L.
Yeah.
Right, that's
how I
what
like it.
separates, that's what
Yes.
has it stand out then.
This is just I
No,
don't.
no, yeah.
I'm not as good as PowerPoint as I should be. That's what this is.
But to that point though, as part of this branding effort, do we have a TrueLens font that we always use? Do we have a PowerPoint template, or is that in the works?
I would say
believe
that's
that
in the
comes,
works.
that comes with Mango Day, don't they give
Yeah.
us a?
Yeah, they're supposed to give us like a usage guide,
Okay.
is what they will do.
And just out of curiosity, because you get when emails and things like that and website, what is it? Is this going to be TrueLens dot?
It's TrueLensMedia.org, correct?
Okay. Yeah, so you don't have to put the whole community deal in there, because
No,
You get
we've
tired of
also,
typing that,
we also have TrueLensCommunityMedia.org that'll redirect to
right.
community, TrueLens Media.
But I'd probably use the shorter URL.
Yes, yes. I think you make a very good point about, and we went back and forth on TrueLens. We always talked about the TrueLens being bigger and community media being smaller, and even with approval tonight, if that's how we go, we can look at that a little more before we, just to see if we can make that work a little bit better, because it's a good point.
And then on this slide you have the blue, the dark blue, and the lime green. Are the dark blue and the lime green alternates or examples?
They were examples.
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 Well, would an acronym, would you ever use an acronym of this?
My
I am
problem,
hoping never to
my
use an
problem with
acronym.
the acronym is that it's Turner Classic Movies.
What's that?
TCM is Turner Classic Movies.
right, yeah, you don't want to do
Or
that.
it's SWCTC, which nobody knows. So
Right, right,
I'm
no,
hoping
right,
that
right.
it becomes TrueLens.
Well, I saw it as TLC Media.
So the way you got it right now, people are going to visualize that and potentially say TCM, because the
Possibly,
TCM is prominent.
Yep.
Would you mind going to the slide with the alternate logo?
With all three of them?
No,
With the
where you
hands.
have
Oh, with the
TrueLens all
hands.
on one line.
Yeah. I think it's up this way. Yeah.
There you go.
Did you do?
So I do like that, but you just put the playhead in its spot. You know, you should probably just have to scale it right, and then it could work.
Yeah. I did like that, that font and the letters better in this one.
I think you could use the other logo though with it instead of this one.
Yeah.
This one reminds me of a tennis shoe, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I had the exact same
Looks like
thought.
the wings.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments, questions? And so you're looking for approval of the
Yeah, what-
logo tonight? Is what we're looking
That's what
for?
we're looking for, yeah.
Okay.
And the
And I guess the
colors?
fonts would be, we could still play with the fonts, I would imagine.
I think we're looking for approval for staff to finalize the logo. I think that's what we're looking for.
So can I make a motion that we give staff approval to finalize the other screen logo, but ask that they do look at what it might look like if they were to make TrueLens larger and community media on one line?
Yep,
But ultimately, we give them permission to finalize.
yep, I think that makes complete sense, so.
Is
That
that a
work?
motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Discussion?
And the logo that are we approving it as with the colors? Or is it just the logo?
The colors with the light blue and the white.
So that,
playhead.
so it's not this, it would be the,
No, it would be, like I said, we're gonna have a all blue, all black one just so, but the main logo, let me, hold on, this would be the easiest way to show it. Would be,
Yeah, the black and white one, you'll always have that because you'll need that for publications and everything anyway. Just that your
would
main
be the
logo
blue.
has the color on it.
so it would be,
The blue.
crap,
not that. We don't want that.
no.
There you go.
It would be like, this is the one there,
There, okay.
Okay.
that's the one. Nah. You know what I mean?
I took you back to that, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh, PowerPoint.
Yeah, because that's what it looks like over, over video. Yeah,
Yep.
so.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
And it passes. Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Moving on to 2025 final proposed budget. Ann?
Yes, thank you, Chair Bloom. This is the third time you have seen the budget. It has not changed since the executive meeting. The executive committee at its October 24th meeting is recommending approval of the 2025 budget.
Any questions or discussion? Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 budget.
Second.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
That was quick. Move on to new business. Anything?
None?
None? On from there. Commission comments and requests. One thing I have to say is, Randy, I understand that this is your last meeting with us?
This is it.
This is it, so it's been a pleasure working with you, and you've given a lot of great input over the years to it, so. And you want to share where you're heading, or you're just riding off into the sunset?
I'm focusing more on my work.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's been great. So,
Well, thank you for representing Woodbury for so long and your diligent attendance at all of our meetings and executive meetings. Sincerely
An honor.
appreciate your input, and I think you've been on longer than me.
Possible. Haven't keeping track.
You haven't beat Rob yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Or Dave.
Or Dave.
Who's been on the longest?
If you take the span of time.
Technically, I think it's
Oh,
me.
okay. If you count
You were
total.
prior yet.
Yeah.
any other comments, requests? Great. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.